Hi, everybody. We're going to start at 6 p.m. tonight, so a couple more minutes and then we'll get started. All right. Good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock by my watch, and my name is Beth Wilson. I am the Pulaski County horticulture agent, and my first time trying this at Zoom and on Facebook Live. So please, constructive criticism afterwards. Thank you very much. All right. So we're going to talk about lawn care for the sustainable gardener. I do want you to know that I have also have a Twitter feed that I don't use very much, but also am on Instagram at KY Plants. I encourage you to follow me there. And just some upcoming programs I wanted to let you be aware of. We've got Asters for Kentucky Gardens on September 20th. That's going to be a Wednesday at 4:30. So note that time change. I usually have things at 6 o'clock. So we're going to do that on September 20th at 4:30. We also have a raised bed gardening series that a master gardener is doing a fantastic job at. We are having the last session of that series on September 26th. That's going to be at 6 p.m. here at the Pulaski County Extension Office. Her goal is for you all to have a winter garden, and I think it's a noble goal. And then lastly, just quickly to tell you about, we've got some great programs during Tree Week in Pulaski County. Be looking for those on Facebook and Instagram. I'll be posting those very, very soon, or as it becomes more information becomes available. Also, if you want to join my Remind text group, you may do that down there below. All you have to do is text that @gardenerst to that 81010 number, and I'll be texting you of upcoming programs. All right, so let's get going on sustainable gardening and lawn care. Here is, when you look up sustainability, you get a lot of different things, okay? So I'll just read through a couple of these, but I see the one that's in capital letters: do no evil. You know, we're talking about, we don't want to do anything that's going to harm the environment, anything that's going to be systemic in the environment that we put out there that's going to stay there forever. But also we want to protect and improve soil. I think that's very much part of sustainability. I also think that last bullet, relying on locally available materials and resources, that's part of it. But all those are part of it. And your definition, when you think sustainability, maybe you weren't thinking of these things at all. But even though your lawn is your lawn and your landscape is your landscape, it still is an ecosystem. And sustainable gardeners kind of know that, and they want to get those beneficial insects in. They want to be good stewards of their little piece of land. So whichever one you agree with or don't agree with, we're gonna take this standpoint and go from there on lawn care. All right, so we're going to talk about some things that are going to be worth your time to kind of worry about, and then we're going to maybe look at a few things that maybe aren't really, they can be problems, but not a lot. And then we've got a list of things we don't have to worry about. And with a lawn, I know that everyone's definition of satisfaction on their lawn is different. I get that. You know, some people want the green grass all year long, no weeds, no pests. They want it to look just pristine all year long. And then you got people that are like, I like grass in my lawn, a few weeds are okay. I can deal with that. Some other person might say, if it's green, I'll mow it. Just whatever is there, I'll mow it. And then I do occasionally talk to people who are like, just tell me how to get rid of this lawn so I can put something else in. All right, well, the Rolling Stone said it well. You can't always get what you want, right? But anyway, we're going to try. We're going to try. So what do we need in a lawn? What do we want our lawns to give us? Many times we want them to be attractive because uniformity is the key to an attractive lawn. A uniform, one species, no blips in that lawn. So we do want it to be attractive. We also want to be low maintenance. We want to not have to water or put a lot of inputs into it. And in turn, it's going to be lower cost, hopefully. And for a sustainable gardener, I think it's important for us to think about earth-friendly things and to promote that promote biodiversity. All right, if you go to the UK College of Ag and type in turf, you will come to our turf grass science homepage, and here it is. If you click on home lawns, you'll get this is just the first part of the list of the publications that are found there. They have lots and lots of good resources on there, and they're continuing to add new ones, update old ones all the time. I will tell you though, in particular, when we talk about sustainability in our home lawn, they have these three publications that can be found on this webpage. So some of what I'm going to talk about tonight is going to be found on those. So feel free to go to that website and download those materials. All right, one of the things that's on that publication list is our turf care calendar for cool season lawns. And it looks like there's a lot, the green bars on there indicate the best time to do an activity. And then the yellow bars indicate, well, not the best time, but it's pretty good time, second best time to do that activity. And then if it's white, we want to avoid doing whatever that activity is. So what I'm gonna propose to y'all, hopefully, is a couple of things. First of all, mowing is taking up a lot of the calendar space there. Mowing is usually a weekly thing, so we need to consider that one big time if we want to be a more sustainable gardener with our lawns. And then I'm hoping that I can convince you that we can get rid of several of these just by some cultural things that we do and choices that we make. I think you'll be happy with what I'm proposing. At least I hope you are. All right, if you take that same calendar and put into a 12-month calendar, very often, if you can see my pointer, we're talking about mowing from mid-March all the way to mid-November. The standard practice for weed control is a pre-emergent herbicide in March, a post-emergent herbicide in April, another pre-emergent herbicide in May, and then we don't do much in the summer because it's just too blame hot. And then we get to September and we might consider a post or a pre-emergent, maybe a pre-emergent in August. But then we want to put down nitrogen in October. That is the only time we should be applying nitrogen, in my opinion, on cool season grasses. But I'm going to propose to you tonight, as a sustainable gardener, as somebody who's busy and doesn't want to put a lot into their lawn, that we can get rid of this one, this pre-emergent herbicide. And I'm pretty sure we can get rid of this one. And depending on your level of tolerance for weeds, you can get rid of the post-emergent herbicides that are in April and September, but I'm not going to X them out yet. But I know I'm going to convince you of the two in the spring. At least I think I am. All right, so I've broken it down to 7 steps to a sustainable lawn. So if y'all are ready, let's go. Step 1 is to use the best grass in your lawn. Best plant, really. But if we're talking about grasses, we want to use the best turf grass that we possibly can. Now, you see in the graphic in the upper right-hand corner, you see that Kentucky is situated in what we call a transition zone. We have the cool season zone, places where they can grow cool season grasses, and the blue zone. The warm season grasses are the states in the yellow, and we're in that in between. And this is kind of a funny, but it's true. We're in the transition zone where we can grow both cool season and warm season grasses equally poorly. Equally poorly. So that means, cool season grasses, they kind of don't like right now. They hate right now, this time of the year in August. But tall fescue is by far probably the best cool season grass for Kentucky lawns, especially down in our neck of the woods. We have a lot of turf type tall fescues, which are the newer varieties of that. You'll see a lot of different names out there, but I'll tell you, when you go and look at turf plots, whether it be at UK or the other universities, there may be 100 little meter squared blocks of grass, and you really can't tell any one from another. The only one that stands out is the old forage variety called Kentucky 31 that a lot of people are familiar with. That one stands out like a sore thumb because it's got such wide leaf blades and such just not a very dark green color. But you can still use it. It's still tall fescue. Tall fescue is going to be the best for Kentucky lawns if you want green grass 12 months out of the year. However, zoysia grass is out there, and it's very, very hardy. You don't have to mow it as much. However, it does take a long time for this to get established. And it's kind of a booger for that 1 to 2 to 3 years it's going to take to get this established. But I'm throwing that out there at you all. This can be a very, very weed resistant turf grass. The only thing that most people hate about warm season grasses, because zoysia is a warm season, is that it's going to be brown. It's going to go dormant in the wintertime. So that's the one drawback. Well, there's several drawbacks, but there's a lot of good stuff that you can get from zoysia. So those are your 2 things. You want to choose one of those 2 grasses. We have a lot of experience with tall fescue for sure, but if you want to try zoysia, I think it's not a bad choice. All right, step 2, we are going to soil test. And in Pulaski County, you can get up to 25 soil tests for free. I encourage the use of this. I don't want you to micromanage and bring me in a soil test every week, but this makes it easy for you to do a soil test, and you're not out any money, and you're going to get some really, really good information in the meantime. The thing about a soil test is it's going to help decrease diseases and weeds and any damage from drought, because you're going to have all the nutrients and help do your fertilization such that all that's going to go away and be less likely to occur. Okay, so again, from a sustainability standpoint, would you rather do this to avoid weeds, or would you rather spray a herbicide to avoid weeds? I think most people would say, I don't want to go out and spray a weed. I'd rather the grass take care of it. All right, so to take a soil test for your lawn, I don't want you to dig 1 hole and bring me in the soil from that hole. I want you to sample several areas, random areas in your lawn, go down about 4 inches deep, mix all those little samples up in a bucket, and bring me in a pint to the Pulaski County Extension Office, and we will take it from there. All right. We're on step 3 already. We're going to be done pretty quick. We want to do the correct turf fertilization. Cool season grasses, warm season grasses, whether it be zoysia or tall fescue, whatever, they do respond to nitrogen. And what we're going to do is if we get all our nutrients right and we have our pH correct, and we fertilize at the right time of the year, we're really going to go a long way in promoting a very healthy grass that's going to be able to resist anything that's thrown at it. Okay. For our cool season grasses, we want nitrogen to be applied in the fall only. So we're talking about October or November. And we do not want to, please get away from fertilizing in the spring. That only causes problems. So most of us go out and grab a bag of fertilizer, a synthetic fertilizer, and all that nitrogen, that's 18% nitrogen in that bag, 9 pounds of that in that 50-pound bag, is going to be immediately available. So it's the timing of this is really important to do this in the fall. That by doing it in the fall, you're going to feed the soil that's going to then feed those roots of the grass. You're not going to promote top growth and mow yourself to death. You're going to promote root growth, which is exactly what you want. Now, a sustainable gardener may say, I don't want to go out and buy fertilizer. I don't like synthetic stuff. I don't want to put it down. So how does a sustainable gardener fertilize their grass? Well, a lot of them don't. Shroot little hog or die, you know, and they just don't. A lot of them will return the grass clippings to their lawn, and that is fine because you are returning nutrients to the lawn. There's no doubt about that. Sometimes we top dress, meaning we broadcast with some type of organic matter. And then, of course, there's clovers. So let's talk about the organic materials as turf fertilizer. Many times the nitrogen content is going to be in a range. It's not going to be a number that you know. However, for like something like blood meal, we can really rely on that being about 12% nitrogen. Okay. So, and if you look across there, it's 12% nitrogen. It's got a little bit of phosphorus and a little bit of potash, but the availability is rapid. Okay. So it's going to be more like a synthetic fertilizer that nitrogen is readily available when you put it down. The other thing to take note of is it will be acidic over time. So it will cause your pH to decrease with continued use. Okay. If you look at something like compost, though, which we would advocate as a good fertilizer regime for an organic type of lawn care, you see that you've got a lot less nitrogen, same amount of phosphorus, you know, same amount of potash, not much. The availability of this is moderate, though. So it's all this, the nitrogen that's contained in here is going to be kind of slowly meted out over time. Okay. The other thing to take note of is this is going to cause the soil to become more alkaline over time, which means you're going to have a higher pH with continued use of compost. Okay, when we look at some other types of materials we can use for our lawn, we usually think of manures. We'll think of horse manure and chicken manure. You can see that horse manure is going to be slow, poultry's going to be rapid. Just a very little nitrogen in it, but it's there. And if you have that available to use, then by all means use it. And I do hear people talk about putting wood ashes on their vegetable gardens, for example. To me, these aren't the best use of wood ashes. If you use wood ashes, first of all, there's no nitrogen, so you're not going to help improve the lawn much without nitrogen in it. It does have a fair amount of potassium, but it does other things to your soil. It adds to the alkalinity of the soil. And I just would prefer people use it if they do use it very sparingly. All right, so let's talk about the advantages of fall nitrogen. And it's a long list, and it's a good list. I'm going to read it because it's so good. Okay, so we're going to fertilize with nitrogen in the fall. We're going to have greener color all winter long. We're not going to mow a bunch in the spring. Guess what? Less weeds in the summer, less heat stress in the summer, less water needed in the summer, and less disease problems in the summer. So think about that. You're putting down nitrogen come October or so, and you're going to get all these benefits next year. Okay. Step 4, though, is to embrace clover. Yes, you can go out and buy all these big piles of horse manure and chicken manure, and then have to have a big pile of it, and then have something to spread it on your lawn with. But guess what? To be a really sustainable gardener in as far as lawn care goes, I believe you need to embrace clover. Just let it be. I know people don't think that the white flowers are very attractive, but that's just part of clover. However, they have come up with something called micro clover. So you can see on the right picture there, it kind of gets obscured in the grass. I think this would be a lot more attractive to a lot of people. It will still bloom, but it's very, when you look at it, it's not as in your face as the ladino clover that might be on the left there. Okay. All right. So clovers are the perfect fertilizer for grass because it will supply to legume. So it fixes nitrogen itself and then puts that out into the lawn through its root system. So it's going to supply exactly what our turf grass needs, 1 to 2 pounds of actual nitrogen per year. And you don't have to do anything except let it grow or seed it if you don't have it already. There's been studies on just when someone has dandelions and white clover in their lawns, they have collected 37 species of bees from these weeds that we consider weeds in our lawn. So if that is one big part of your sustainability equation, then I think you need to include clovers in your lawn. The upper picture here, hopefully your screen shows it. You can see this line down the middle. This half of the field has microclover. This half does not. Paler green, darker green. And down here, plot work. I forget which university, but you can the ones that are starred with the little asterisk there. Guess what? They have microclovers and the other ones don't. So bam, you get very nice green color without doing anything except allowing the clovers to grow. I want to speak a little bit, though, about applying fertilizers. If you are going to use something that's more rapidly available, like the blood meal or the chicken manure, you need to be sure that first of all, if you've got a drop spreader or a broadcast spreader. You don't want to, this poor person who did this field down here, how embarrassing is that? But anyway, you want to put half of your fertilizer on in one direction and half on the other, but still be sure that if you've got a drop spreader or a broadcast spreader. All right, step 5 is going to be to reduce our pesticide use. I've got GrubX and a weed and feed listed here in a big X through it. I will tell you that, a dense, healthy lawn is going to have less weeds than an unthrifty lawn. So if you're trying to improve your lawn, you're going to get some weed control just by having a much denser grass. On the grub side, they need moist soil to lay their eggs. So if you're not irrigating or we have kind of a drought at this time of the year, the Japanese beetles are not going to choose your lawn to lay their eggs to produce grubs. And tall fescue is even less likely to get attacked than something like bluegrass or irrigated turf. So I think you can take that grub control thing out of the equation. On the weed and feed side, you need to be, you need to learn how to tolerate a few weeds. And then hopefully that will add to your biodiversity and pollinator populations. So again, grub control, if you've had problems in the past, I wouldn't put an X to this altogether, but understand that the only time grub damage will ever be evident in the turf is going to be this time of year into September. We're not going to have grub problems in the spring, period. Okay. So anyway, I think we can get rid of this. We're going to reduce our pesticide use on this front for sure. And again, good, healthy, dense turf is going to be the best weed control out there. All right, step 6, mow high. It is 2 simple words that will save you 2 pre-emergence herbicide applications. Here is the data, and here's the pictures that back up that data. So in the top right picture, you see going from the 1 inch and going over to 2 inches to 3 inches to 4 inches on the bottom. On the 1 inch side, you can see this entire plot is crabgrass, and you can see the incidence or the pale green color kind of go down as you go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. At 4 inches, there's no crabgrass. This is just a mowing height phenomenon. Okay, there was not any crabgrass preventer applied to any of these. This is just mowing height, and you can see by the graph. Here is the incidence of crabgrass on the y-axis. Big bars are bad. So at 1 inch, lots of crabgrass. 3 inches, hardly any. 4 inches, barely any at all. This guy is mowing too low, and he's doing it with 3 different mowers. So stop it. Stop mowing low, mow high. And lastly, since on our turf care calendar, mowing was taking up about, I don't know, 9 months of the year or so. So if we really want to be a sustainable gardener, and we don't want to put, have our gas-powered engines running and even our own energy and time that it takes to do this mowing, reducing the lawn is a very good way to become more sustainable in your lawn care. So just think about it. We're mowing 32 times a year. That's once a week. If it takes you an hour to mow, you're going to save 32 hours. I'm sorry, that's 32 hours of your life. If you reduce the lawn by a quarter, you're going to save a whole day. A whole day. Of course, other options are just to mow less. Now, are your neighbors going to call somebody about it? I don't know. But you can, the turf can take it if you mow a little less often. It's not going to be the prettiest thing, but it will do the job. So you can either reduce the lawn by putting other things in there or mow less. So you can consider some other kind of ground covers or turf-like alternatives. You can plant trees and shrubs. You can do all sorts of things. Over here in this picture, somebody replaced part of their lawn with prairie drop seed in this photo. I will tell you that Mount Cuba has some excellent research reports, and they just put out one on sedges. And they looked at all different kinds of sedges. Sedges are not a grass, and they're not a broadleaf. They are a sedge. So they even looked at the mowing of these sedges, not only just letting them grow, but also as a lawn alternative. So please go in there and take a look at the entire data set, but I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. Wood sedge came out on top, as did Pennsylvania sedge, and these are both native sedges. So there you go. So wood sedge is up here on this larger picture on the right. Pennsylvania sedge is on the left down here on the bottom. There's also some other ones that could work. So investigate these sedges if that's something that you might be into. That's totally up to you. And the other thing that I get a lot of phone calls about is shady lawns. And people are like, I want to grow grass in the shade. There's not any kind of turf grass that's going to do well in the shade. So instead of and I hate that I'm going to sound bad about it, but don't moan and groan about it. Don't moan and groan about it. If you've got moss where you want grass, you don't have to mow moss. and it's there because ecologically it's a better fit. So, you know, you can either do the easiest thing is going to be to embrace the moss and go on with life. Okay. So what? You can't get grass to grow in this spot. If you do want to try though to open, you know, you can open the canopy up and increase air movement, good drainage, get a soil test and make sure that you've got everything right for grass. You might be able to get grass to grow in a semi-shade location. Okay. But anyway, I would myself embrace the moss. Okay, I am done. I've been on here for a half an hour. My name is Beth Wilson, and you can contact me at the phone number there listed there, or you can email me. I haven't got my text number, but we text all the time, people, and send problem pictures to me. That's a great way to diagnose some things, that kind of thing. So I'm going to stop there, and I will get over here on Facebook now and check to see if there's been any questions at all. I'm not seeing any. All right, I will leave it at that, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sure this will be so you can come, you know, tell your friends to come back and take a look at this if they're wanting to do things a little more sustainably and in their turf. And please don't hesitate to call or email me if you have any problems whatsoever. Thanks so much.